Hi y'all, it's Kimberly here. Well, today we're getting some rain, so it may start raining. It's been raining on and off, so you might hear a little bit of the thumping rain on my car. We had a tornado scare. I think it was miles away, but I was driving home and I was stuck on the highway, and for about 2 minutes it was coming down so hard. It was like buckets of rain. I don't remember ever seeing it rain that hard, and it was just buckets and buckets, and it looked like a huge wall cloud was behind me, and I was trying to hurry home, and it got to the point where the car in front of me had to put on their flashers and I had to put on my flashers. I couldn't even see their brake lights. It was mostly just the flashers. I barely saw the flashers, and that's how thick it was. And I was probably about 50 feet behind them, and they turned into a driveway or a business on the highway, and I didn't want to get stuck there. I just kept going, and eventually I was able to, it kind of lightened up a little bit, went through it, drove home, but it was still real heavy rain, and we're still kind of in that area. The sky's getting more gray, more and more by the minute. But I'm going to make this video. It's about the stimulus checks. There's some kind of concern that the stimulus checks might be garnished because of the way that the process they went through. It speeded up the process. They didn't go through the regular vote, which with the regular vote, it gave a protection. There was a debt collection process that was put onto it for the last two checks that we have received. The $1,200 and the $600 check went through this regular passage, which gave debt collection to the stimulus checks. And I do remember that the first round of stimulus checks, some of those checks were grabbed by debt collectors. There was some issue with that, but they were, I believe that, I'm not sure if it was Trump or I don't know how it was expressed that debt collectors should not be taking those taking those checks. But with this new check, with the budget reconciliation process, the way that they were passed, speeded through without a full vote from Republicans, because they were going to vote against it anyway, that did not give these checks the debt collection protection that the previous two had. So that means that private businesses or credit card companies, if you owe debt to them, or if your debt is in collections, they can grab these checks out of your account. And the way they do it is they have to send your name to a judge. It's kind of like a hot check collection. I don't know if anybody remembers hot checks or writing checks. I know most people don't write them anymore, but back in the day, we used to write checks, and if they bounce, which means you wrote a check and you did not have the money in the bank to cover it, that's called a hot check. And then it would be sent to a collection agency, and they would, the business would, or anybody, even an individual, that if, say, a contractor tiles your bathroom, or puts flooring in your kitchen or something like that, new carpet in your house, even if it's just one individual, if they have a business number, if they are a sole proprietor, even, if they have a tax number, even that one person can file a collection against you in the court, and they can issue a garnishment against you, and they can reach into your bank account and take it out. And even that can even done with paychecks. And I'm not sure if that's state by state, but some businesses do garnish people's paychecks. And I don't think that's practiced as much now as it used to be, but it still can be done, I know. But with the stimulus checks, yeah, the private businesses or credit card companies, if you owe them and they've gone into collections, I believe it's only if your debt has gone into collections. Then they can take that check. And there is some possibility that you could call that company and make arrangements, but with that, it's like a double-edged sword. It's you're alerting to them that you have a debt that you owe them, and that you have money. So if you do that, there's a possibility they may push it through really quickly, or they may work it out with you because they may just want the money, or they want you to pay your bill. So, and they may just leave your check alone and let you make monthly payments. So, that's something to think about. If a dilemma, which way you want to do it, let it, maybe you might think, well, maybe they don't know I'm getting one, or I'll just not contact them. Or if you do contact them, that also, now they know that you're getting a check and that you owe them money. So either way, it's a little stressful to think, that this stimulus check is going to be taken, to go to bill collectors. I really think that this check should have been protected, and that even though you may be behind, you may owe bills, there's a lot of reasons. People have lost jobs, there's people have been permanently laid off if businesses have closed, or they have been laid off for temporary time period until the pandemic is over with, or until the business can get back to full capacity or something like that. And speaking of full capacity, in Texas, we're open for business. And I do see a lot of people still wearing masks and still social distancing, so that's good. I just think people need to be more conscious, that this is not just, because the government's telling you to do something. It's, for protection for you and your family. And I still am wearing my mask. I know it's up to the individual now here in Texas, but it's also up to the business, because a lot of businesses are pushing back on it, and they're saying they're not going to allow people in just for the same way. The biggest example is from the no shirt, no shoes. It's a health policy, You don't want people walking in there with no shoes on, their dirty feet, making contact with your floor. You don't know what they've stepped in, or just the bacteria from their body, touching your floor. And no shirt. Nobody really wants to see some person while they're eating in a nice restaurant or even a fast food place with no shirt on. Come on. Put your shirt on. So most businesses won't serve you if you don't have shoes or shirt on. So they're kind of tacking the mask thing onto that because of this. It's a health, condition situation. And Italy is going back into lockdown because they are having such a high rise in cases, and the deaths are still at a pretty high number. So they're going to be locked down again for a second. They had just recently opened back up, I think, not too long ago, but they're going back into lockdown. I think it's a modified type of lockdown. And India, unbelievably, India, their numbers are going down. Their infection rates and deaths are going down, which is, it was thought that India would have the toughest time because of the population and how congested their cities are, and how people are just, shoulder to shoulder, all down the streets and in the buses, all the public transportation is always super crowded, and all the public buildings, people are just, shoulder to shoulder, pushing, just literally touching each other. And it's thought of that maybe because India has been already through like typhoid epidemics and tuberculosis and several other, communicable diseases, that some of these people may have a little bit of immunity. It may have been something to do with previous infections that people have had, and they have their body has adjusted to it, and they have resistance to this disease, maybe a little bit stronger than some of the other countries, because they have been, you know, subjected to it, and they have overcome it. And I think that's kind of amazing that that's possible, and that they are trying to step up the vaccinations there. I think triple the vaccinations, so because that place, I mean, that country is so populous, and they're so congested. But there is a lot of area in India where it's rural, and people they're in the fresh air. They're not. There's a lot of farmers and small tribes of people that are living out, you know, away from the bigger cities, and they've got a lot less contact with people that would be infected. And I mean, I just think it's amazing, because their numbers have gone down, I mean, tremendously. Okay, I just wanted to update y'all on the stimulus check situation, and I'll get back to you again. Thank you for coming to my channel, everybody. Thank you so much.